Hi guys, sorry for all of that. Today I wanted to talk with you guys about the connection between the creative process and utilizing spirit and tarot, and the connection between all three. So I'm an artist and a psychic channel, and I've worked as a toy designer in corporations, and I have been channeling art my entire life. One thing I learned from my experience as an artist and having a lot of spiritual or metaphysical experiences is, as a child, is that the creative process when we're children is very natural, it's very open, and we all want to be creative when we're children. It also opens up ourselves to spirit and the other subtle dimensions of the world that we usually forget as we get older. This is a big part and component to channeling and opening up your creative process, to gather authentic and true information for your life and to keep your creative flow healthy, and understanding the cycles of the creative process with tarot cards, and also how you channel as an artist in all forms of art, whether it's music or innovative ideas in any type of business or creative process, and how utilizing tarot can only help you in this with a few techniques and ways of understanding that. And I'm going to be communicating this with my own tarot deck that I've created as an artist, utilizing components of archetypes and astrological alignments that help us understand how we connect to spirit and how that is the main idea behind creative flow. One of the archetypes that I want to discuss here is the divine feminine receptive energy field that we are all able to access. In ancient cultures, these goddesses, these divine feminine were connected to the subconscious and the conscious, the light and the dark, the moon and the sun. There was feminine components as well as masculine components. But when we are talking about the creative flow, we really have to channel that female divinity, because that is where that receptive, creative womb energy of planting that seed that sprouts and grows within us gives us life. And that is for men, women, and all of us. We have both components of the masculine and the feminine. But I want to share with you how these archetypes that are presented in the tarot deck as well are these ancient wisdoms that we have lost along the way that help us to always connect to this source that's available to us and is able to help us always have that free-flowing, innovative ability to create our reality and our own creative world. One last thing is, along with the Empress card and the tarot deck and the priestess, there's the shadow, which is the priestess, and the moon card as well, who is different than the priestess, but she is about finding your way home and finding what love is. And the fundamental idea of art is love. And so, again, it's always coming back to that source, that place of nurturing in the dark space so that it can emerge into the light, using these different feminine archetypes to do that in the work that you want to flow more in your life. So that's goddess divinity, feminine power for creative channeling, the receptive vessel, creating life in a safe space. We learn from the mother. When the baby is in the womb, the mother is the safe space. And so when we work with the divine feminine, we are going back to this space. We're going back to that original source of the void. And we share the objects of living art in all forms, because true art is portal work via all artistic and creative modalities. It's creative flow. It's in everything we do. It's the joy that brings us fire. It's the creative fire of life. But sometimes we get blocked and we don't understand why we're no longer getting these creative ideas, why we're stunted in that constant flow of original thought. So I bring to you the Two of Cups. When to. Sharing your world with others. Creativity is a way to connect. Sharing your inner world with the outer world. From the dark feminine underworld, we meet the sun to become seen. The journey therefore begins in the underworld to begin in true love, regardless of the outcome. You have to have the faith. This comes from the mythology of the ancient Sumerian goddesses of Inanna, who goes into the underworld to save her lover's soul, and pleads with her sister, the goddess of the underworld. This journey is about love, and it is about going into that dark space to find love and the truth. So that is where we channel. And as communication between the world as art, innovation, and change, because new ideas and innovation bring change. Spirit communication. The Eight of Wands, Sagittarius. Spirit is creative, channeling used to create. Life located in the womb within the darkness. The fire burns bright. In the dark, quiet space, we glow from within to keep bright. Facing the underworld, the 7 gates of the underworld, astrology star map. These are all aspects that you will find in the tarot deck. It's all connected to the star map, as above, so below. It's a pathway. Every single tarot deck is going to have a planetary alignment with a house system, a sign, and in that divination, we create and understand how each and every aspects of this help us to create and evolve with the stars and on earth. And 5 of Cups is regret as teacher in the darkness. So when we go into this journey to find love, to save another, begging and pleading to the priestess of the darkness, we have to let go and shed everything that we are clothed in, as she did, to go into the death space and have that rebirth cycle. It's connected with this painful reflection period of what we have lost and what we need to always regain, which is that love, that true love, because that's what transmutes all of that regret, because the regret is our teacher. And that is where you find your way home. The moon card, using moonlight. The moon, finding your way home. In the darkness, we must look to the light of the moon. Things are not what they appear at night, and the underworld is the same. So you must be guided by the moonlight to find your way home. But that is always the journey. We're always looking for our home. But when you find your home, you will find the art, and you'll find your creative self. And so it's always going back there, and it's a painful thing. But in that pain, you transform. It's a death life cycle. So receptive in the dark, action in the light, the priestess and the empress, moon and sun, from divine feminine, the receiver of source. Here I put the tarot cards, the empress and the priestess together, yin and yang of one another, going from the dark space and emerging like the phoenix, rising into the sunlight, meeting the god of the sun. And in that God space, realizing that you could have never seen the true space if you hadn't faced your shadows. So that's the empress and the priestess. Hathor in Egyptian mythology, in the pantheon, and Isis are the representations of the goddess of the underworld and the goddess of the sun. Through the many ancient temples dedicated to the Egyptian pantheon, we see in many of the rituals, temple sites, mostly death rituals, alignments to Osiris, and the Orion's belt, where they believed that the soul and the void came from, and where we originally were from, source. And so that death and rebirth cycle, the womb and the life and the letting go, is the journey into the underworld, and it is the way the ancients believed. In this way we learn to channel not just art, but living art, because then there's the concept of the dead art and the living art. And we don't want to, once we emerge from the darkness, we don't want to have dead art. We want to be alive, and we want the art to be alive, and it vibrates. And this is something that the artisans and the artists of ancient Egypt understood very well. Here I have a few examples of Pharaoh Akhenaten and some of his tombs and temples in Egypt. These are living statues. When you pray in front of them, they start to move and reflect. Because the artists in the ancient days understood that it was about channeling and it was about source. And that is when your art begins to vibrate and reflect the reality around you. So living art is channeled information. This is a living statue of Hathor, one of the few ones that you can find in Egypt. Her eyes have a compassion that looks like sadness, but she is the mother, she is the empress. Living art is a portal. There's the living segment statue, also in Karnak, the goddess, the fierce one, the fighter. But this is all what we have to do as artists to connect. Even the mummies are alive, and they speak with us, and they have stories. It is about unraveling that which we say is reality, and the subtler versions of what actually may be just as real in the moonlight. Cheating death by embracing portal work in the face of love, that is creative fire, because art never dies. It stays with us. It's a portal to a place, a moment. So when we create, and we create with intention, and we create with spirit, and we align to those deeper truths of ourselves, and we accept all aspects of ourselves, our art begins to vibrate. And by utilizing these ancient occult cards that come from pre-Diluvian civilizations and have been passed down, and we use them as playing cards, are really tools to help us understand our star map and our journeys, and how we can reflect that in our creative selves, in our creative life, because channeling that light is what gives us art, music, innovation, technology, everything, because it's already existing. It's just a matter of connecting to that source, which is something that our ancient ancestors understood very well, and all the beauty of their temple art and all the beauty of their spiritual connections, and it is something to be inspired by. And the beauty of it, being able to use these ancient tools like the tarot to help us reflect on that in our own creative journeys, is something that is invaluable when you start looking at it from this perspective. And my last slide is the Fool. How do I create life in my work? Gateway to conscious art. Be open to receive. No bad idea is a good idea. No idea is a bad idea, I apologize. And that's a big point, because if you start thinking with your logical, masculine side, it all has to be action, action, action. But when we're in the feminine aspect, we're willing and open to receive everything. And none of it is bad, because all of it is welcome, it is received, it is loved. From the moment it became a thought in your mind, it was loved, because that is how it can become an actualization. So the stupidest idea can become the most brilliant, innovative concept in the future. But if you don't allow it to be accepted and loved, if you don't nurture it, if you don't grow it in that safe space, it will die. So it's a life-death ritual. And the creative process is a cycle, just like the sun, and just like, I apologize, not the sun, but the moon. The moon's always in a cycle, like the feminine cycle, and that is the creative process. It goes up into the sun, and it goes down into the moon. And when we love and respect ourselves for that, we can really pull the best out of it. So find the joyful thing and embrace this. Don't expect the outcome, just play. Find the adventure and the destination, and remember who you were as a child, because that person is always alive within us, no matter how buried they are. And in that is where we can be our true selves, and where the magic is always alive. And that, to me, is what art is as well. Art is magic, and magic is art. And everything that's creative is art. So let the Fool take you to your journeys. And if you guys have any questions, opening up the floor to some. Yes?
When you're sitting down to do your art, how do you channel? Do you meditate? Do you do mantras? Like, what is your process to kind of channel it and get in touch with the things you've been talking about?
Well, for me, I've always been a channel, a natural channel, but I've always had the need and the desire to express it on paper, in a visual way, but the same could be said with every kind of creative person out there who has the need to create something that is coming from beyond, but it is having that trust that you will have the answer. And that trust and that faith is the free fall state, or the hanged man in the tarot deck. And when you're there, it's okay to be there, because that's the place of anything, all possibilities. And so opening yourself up to that is how you read the tarot deck as well. Rules are there, but there are also things that don't have to be so dogmatic in anything, and that is also the feminine aspect of things, of the organic aspect, of the chaos, of working with the chaos energy and aligning with that and utilizing it in the most positive way you can. A lot of times people who have the most amazing creative outbreaks of their life were going through the worst things they've ever gone through. So it's really about reflecting on that in the shadow and emerging into the light. Yes?
Do you channel a particular entity, or do you just channel energy in general?
I do channel some entities, and for me personally, I focus on high frequency star brothers and sisters of mine from many lives I've lived before I was on Earth, where I feel more connected to, my star family. And I also work with the angels, and I prefer high frequency energies that can help me understand my purpose as learning the divine higher self that we all have access to. We all have a higher self. And that is who I believe is inspiring us to be creative and inspiring us to use the tarot and to understand our lives. Did I answer your question?
Of course, yes.
I'm glad. Well, any other questions?
Do you have your card decks for sale here?
Yes, actually, I'm booth 93 in the main gallery area, all the way at the very end, where the wall is. So yeah, just love to see you guys. I'm doing readings, channeling and tarot cards, as well as you can see my artwork, and everything that I do is basically about really working to understand how we can shift and connect to our spirit guides.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions and for being here.